What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Boy podcast. My name is Stephen Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. Will, how you doing?
Steve, doing well. Inching closer here to the regular season. Probably one of the bigger draft weekends coming up here. So the last full week of August. Probably, another big one there. We have a couple drafts coming up here at the end or the beginning of September. So next 2 weekends, I think, are probably the biggest weekends. So it's important to get some mocks going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting times, which is why we decided this week that we would do kind of our trial run for our main league that we reference all the time, our former kind of work league. People are starting to scatter a little bit, but it's our old work league. Well, do you want to cover the point scoring format and the rosters and all that jazz?
Yeah, fairly simple half-point PPR, 12 teams, 6-point touchdown, 2-point interception there for the quarterbacks. Everything else is fairly simple. Kickers, defense, and then we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, tight end, and then 2 flexes, 1 running back receiver, 1 receiver tight end. Then I think it's 6 or 7 bench spots?
6, yeah.
Pretty standard half-point PPR league here.
Yeah, indeed. So you're drafting out of the 6. I'm drafting out of the 9. It'll be a fun one. I think this is this is the time where we kind of throw out the play around with stuff idea and just try to do a realistic draft.
Try to do what we would do. And we don't have our spots selected. We've been toying with the idea of, maybe somehow getting something earlier in the summer that will generate either draft picks or like an order. It's actually talking to a league mate of ours, Tom, this weekend, and he has 2 dogs, and we were talking about trying to think of a way to do it, and said, line up 12 toys and let them go one by one, grabbing a toy, and each one being designated to a person. So just trying to think of some creative ways as opposed to just pulling out of a hat.
Yeah, you always have the there's a website for it, 100-yard dash or something. And it just,
I saw that one.
Yeah, it's just a dash. You always got like the Royal Rumble stuff.
Yeah, Royal Rumble's that's a good one. It's pretty early on, but that, I've seen people do NASCAR races, horse racing.
Yeah,
I like the idea of doing that, but that isn't like the order. That is like your selection spot.
Yeah,
so like,
you get the
pick, if you win, you get first choice as to what pick throughout the whole order you want.
Yeah. The only one like I've seen like the Royal Rumble that you do just like you play it on like No Mercy or some like old whatever, and then
like, just randomize.
Like
10,
the first person
people
out, you're like in 12, and then it's like 11, 10. Like I don't know, but I don't know because there's like obviously character attributes, right?
Yeah, and
your
if you
top
randomize
person's
it,
going to outperform. Yeah, if you randomize,
everyone everyone picks a number, and then you don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But there's tons of ways out there. If anybody has any interesting ways that they do it, definitely go ahead and tweet at us here. We're open for options here for, I guess, probably next year at this point. But definitely love to hear about the different ways that people are looking to do to set up the draft order.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Will, before we begin our draft, I have some breaking news for you.
Ooh, are you on the clock?
I am on the clock, yeah.
Here we go.
So we were talking before. I'm in 3 slow best ball drafts right now.
You're a crazy man.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to do that. So this team, I'm drafting out of the 3. I got half-point PPR. It's 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, and a flex. Everything else is standard stuff. Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, Mike Williams, and Gabe Davis. It's been pretty wide receiver heavy since you're starting 3 wide receivers, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking top running backs. We got David Montgomery, Elijah Mitchell, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Top wide receivers, we're looking at Deonta, Juju, Bateman, Michael Thomas, Metcalf, Godwin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mooney. Tight end, Waller, Kittle, Schultz, Hawkinson. Quarterback, Lamar, Kyler, Hurts, Lance, Burrow, Wilson.
And who did you say you have already in this league?
I am sitting with Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, and then Mike Williams and Gabe Davis.
Okay, so would you have what did you pick? Did you have 3, you said?
Yeah, 3.
And is it super flex?
It's not, no.
Taylor just somehow sneak down to you there?
Yeah, he just got to me at 3. Chase
Wow.
went super early.
Gotcha. That
Yeah,
makes
it was
sense then.
McCaffrey Chase. Yeah. Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a good start.
So yeah, I think so. I'd like to add a third wide receiver, but I like Elijah Mitchell here, so I am adding Elijah Mitchell.
I mean, you like the upside there over David Montgomery?
Yeah, I do. Although he is like the injury stuff with him is it's really starting to worry me.
Yeah.
Um, but running backs are going to dry up, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I could wait and grab like a Kareem Hunt. Like, would I rather have a Kareem Hunt in the next round? Kareem Hunt and Juju or Deonta or Bateman or Elijah Mitchell and Mooney, Lazard, Ayuk. I think I'd rather have Mitchell personally. That's
Yeah,
a
I think
tough
it's
one though.
probably Montgomery or Elijah Mitchell, and then what receivers did you say were there?
Deonta, Juju, Bateman, Michael Thomas, Metcalf, Godwin.
And this is a turn, or is it the back of a turn?
It's the back of a turn.
Gotcha. So you got a while.
I got a long
Yeah,
while.
I mean, like a Bateman would be cool, but yeah, I mean, I think Montgomery or Mitchell makes the most sense, just overall value wise. And
I think I'm
you
gonna go
said you
with
start 3 running
Montgomery.
backs, right?
Yeah, well, with a flex, 2 running backs and a flex.
Gotcha.
I think I'm going to do Montgomery. I'm getting more worried about the Elijah Mitchell injury stuff. So I'm going to plug that in right now.
There you
Boom,
go.
done. Pick
Lock
is
it
made.
in.
We have an opportunity for another one to pop up. While we're here, I am 4 picks away. So
All right.
we will see. But to get ours started here, Will, again, you are in the 6th spot. I am in the 9th spot. Half point PPR, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. 1 flex is wide receiver tight end. 1 flex is a wide receiver running back. Everything else is pretty standard. And yeah, kick mock is kicking off in 1 second here. There it goes. So Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook in the 2 spot. Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey down there at the 104, and Derrick Henry at the 105.
Yeah, and you're gonna have, especially at a home league like this, people that have different preferences. So you may have people that are a little scared of Christian McCaffrey, let's say, or really like Cook, really like Cooper Kupp. So home league like this, I wouldn't be surprised to see it a little, not as chalk as some of the mock drafts have been. Looking here, for me, I think it's a pretty easy 2-horse race. It's Eckler if I'm going running back, and it's Jefferson if I'm going receiver. Jamar Chase is good as well, but I think Jefferson probably a bigger target share there, and he's done it for longer. I think he has a really good chance to step up and be the wide receiver 1. Chase does as well, obviously, but I trust Jefferson a little more in that. So it comes down to the 2 of them, and then just kind of anticipating maybe what I can get in the next round. So usually I would go running back in the first round here, but I kind of want to test out what the team looks like here with a receiver, and I think it's close enough that it's something that I would possibly do here on the clock. I don't think it's locked and loaded. I'd say maybe 60-40 Eckler, something like that, maybe a little closer, but because it's our last mock draft here, and usually I go running back early. I want to see what if I go Jefferson early here, would definitely lean me toward the running back position here in the next 2 rounds, because I do want to come away with usually 2, at least 1, but usually 2 in the first 3 rounds, because I think there is kind of a dead zone that comes up there in rounds 5 to 7 ish, 4 to 6. What would you say that RB dead zone is?
It really, listening to different podcasts, it really depends on who you talk to. I think the fancy footballers consider it like 4-5. JJ Zacharyson says historically it's actually like 3.5 through 5.
Gotcha.
Or 3.5 through the end of 4, or something to that degree. But yeah, at the end of the day, somewhere between 3.5 and the end of the 5th round, maybe 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I think ADP right now is Brees Hall 35, ETN 36, Akers 37, Montgomery 41. And that's where you kind of get into the Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, AJ Dillon. So I think you're looking at probably the first 3 rounds. So I just think there's Eckler could be RB1, but I think there's a better chance Justin Jefferson is at RB1, and I still like some of those second round running backs. So, going to go Jefferson here, and we'll see how the team turns out after Jefferson, Eckler, and then Najee Harris.
I really do not like drafting from this kind of like back end spot because Mixon seems so boring of a pick. But it also feels like it's too early for Swift. Kamara, you could probably justify at this point. He's not in the first yet, but by the time you're doing your drafts, people will probably be grabbing him as first. It seems early for Aaron Jones. I don't like going wide receiver early, but if I'm thinking a real draft, I think I might grab Jamar Chase here.
Wow, both of us going receiver in the first round.
Yeah,
that would shock the league if we did do that. Everyone's assuming it's going to be so running back heavy.
It would.
I don't know if I have let's see. Go ahead. I'm just going to see if I have a picture of last year's drafts because I feel like it's usually pretty running back dominant.
Yeah, it is. And I did a mock today and purposely put myself, it might have been like the 6 or the 7, and did this same thing. Drafted Jamar Chase first. I wanted to see what happened. And ended up being Russ, Barkley, A.J. Dillon, Jamar, Mike Evans, Dalton Schultz, Mike Williams, Kadarius Toney as my starting lineup. And I got Chase Edmonds and Darrell Henderson down there as running back depth. So I kind of liked what I did. So I'm going to have to play around with that more. But
I got it up here, Steve. Without looking, how many running backs went in the first round last year?
I'm going to say 9.
10. The first 9 picks were running back.
Wow.
And then you got Chubb at 11. Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams went on either side of you.
See, I was figuring a quarterback would go. Normally we have, someone.
Yeah, I think it was good. Our buddy Tommy went quarterback in the 3rd round, but that's 3-9. So
yeah, okay.
Didn't have any super early. But yeah, running backs usually go hot and heavy. So I think that would definitely be a shocker if we're top 9 picks, both of us go receiver. Yeah. People will be like, "Wait, what did I miss? Did we change some rules here?"
For real. And as much like I'm looking, we hear it. We both listen to the Ballers, and they all agree. Like if they're going to do a 0 RB, it would be Jamar Chase and Diggs. So I'm wondering if I could do that. But I think if we were in a draft, I would draft Joe Mixon. So that's what I'm going to do.
Do what you're going to do there. Yeah. I mean, especially if it's close, and you probably would lean that way. Yeah, decent turn there for you.
Yeah, so Chase goes, Debo goes, Devontae Adams. That closes out the first. I know Debo.
It's early, right? I don't think I've ever seen him in the first round, at least to date yet.
I haven't. I did get him in one of my best ball leagues, though, because I never draft him. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it.
I assume it wasn't in the first round, though.
No, it was in second. Gotcha. It was like the 2-3 or something like that. To start the second, Stephon Diggs, Aaron Jones, Travis Kelce. That sucks. I would have liked Aaron Jones, but I like where I'm at. Like I'm looking at Swift and Kamara and debating which one I like more. Kamara's young with super high upside. I think, me, you, and a lot of other people like him this year. Mm-hmm. But a team that could split some running back work with Jamal Williams going in there and probably not a great team overall. Kamara, historically great, not sharing the backfield with anyone, a team that should be better than the Lions. But he's been around for a little while. He is starting to get older. So I think I lean the excitement of Swift. I'll take the young guy who I think has a better opportunity to end up in like a top 5 situation than Kamara.
Getting that Hard Knocks boost.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't watched it, but maybe. I mean, I've always been a fan of Swift this year. I've actually come down a little bit probably since Hard Knocks. Or maybe just, overall fear of the Lions in general. But I think this is what I would do. So that's what I'm locking in. Mr. Swift there. Gives myself Mixon and Swift, 2 good running backs. Saquon and Kamara go right after me, so you do not have to make the Kamara decision. What you looking at?
Yeah, it makes it a little more difficult, though, because, I mean, at least the 2 of them were the top RBs. I think, the RB tier kind of drops off here into that 3rd tier of RBs. So it comes down to, do I want to grab an RB? And if I'm going here, I'm looking for kind of an upside guy like Javonte Williams. Or do I want to go with kind of like the best available? And that's probably CeeDee Lamb here. It's tough, right? If I go CeeDee Lamb, I'm almost locking in a zero RB type of approach, which is interesting. And if I go Javonte Williams, it's a little bit harder that way, right? And especially after CD, I think when I'm looking ahead, probably looking at the possibility of Zeke in the next round. I don't know that I'd want to double up on CD Lamb and Zeke, even though they're probably going to be the primary pass catchers there. But I think in this case, in a real draft, I would feel like I'd need to get a running back here. And while I do like Nick Chubb, I've got him in a dynasty league. Not someone that I want to have as my feature back. I think just because I don't think the team's going to be very good with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, for the first 11 weeks. So I'm going to go grab Javonte Williams because I don't think there's really much chance he gets back to me here. So we'll lock in Javonte. Nick Chubb goes next. CeeDee Lamb, Leonard Fournette, Mark Andrews, Mike Evans. At the end of the second round, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Cam Akers, A.J. Brown, and DJ Moore. So worked out in my favor from a running back perspective, especially with Zeke still on the board here. Interesting, though, that Mark Andrews there at the end of the second. I think we've seen him rising from middle to beginning of the third to now kind of working his way into the second. Where do you think you would take Mark Andrews at this point?
Right there, probably.
Right there.
Yeah, if I was going to go tight end early, I mean, there's no guarantee that I would.
Yeah, I mean, it's those two, I think.
Yeah, but like if Kelsey
I was or Andrews,
if I was team 2 and I could pull off a Dalvin Cook, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, like whoever you're getting at that 1-2,
yeah,
or that 2, and then doing Mark Andrews, and then coming back and getting Zeke. So Zeke, Andrews, CMC, like I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, solid. I mean, you're obviously looking at pretty limited receiver core, not getting it to the fourth, but when you have that positional advantage with Andrews and already having 2 stud backs, probably 2 backs that are better than most people's pairings. Probably have a few people in the middle there, but
yeah, and that's maybe I looked at double op, so maybe I'd look and see if Cortland Sutton gets to me or Brandon Cooks at the wide receiver position, something like that. I don't know. I mean, what he's doing could work out too if you can grab like AJ Dillon in the back of the fourth, but yeah, I'm fine with him there, to answer your question.
Yeah, so back here, if I'm looking at available players, we have Kyle Pitts as the top tight end. All of our quarterbacks still here on the board. Receivers, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton. And running backs, we've got James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. So this is where kind of that fall off starts to happen, and why I'm happy to see Zeke still here. As I mentioned, I do believe had I gone CD Lamb, I would still have a good chance of staring down Zeke here. And it just, as we talked about, not huge on James Conner. So I don't know that I want to bank on him as my top running back and double down on that Dallas offense. So happy that I do have Javonte Williams on the team here, and it's going to be Zeke here for me to be able to get Justin Jefferson as well as 2 running backs that I'm happy to be starting as opposed to some of these guys that are a little more, you're filling in as your RB2. 2 guys that I think have a chance, very good chance to be in that top 12. And I think there's, Zeke, I think probably has top 5 potential, maybe not a 1 overall. Javonte Williams, if he gets the job, I think he absolutely has number 1 overall, but should be able to get enough work to be in the top 12. So pretty happy to be able to lock in Zeke and Javonte Williams after going receiver early. After him goes Josh Allen, our first quarterback, and T. Higgins.
Okay, so that's a shame because T. Higgins would have been on my radar. It's just not somebody I typically look at. So looking at just top of the board for everyone: James Conner, Michael Pittman, Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, Etienne, Mike Williams, Jonathan Johnson. Like there's somebody I like, and I'm going to jump a little bit to get him. Connor, I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't mind him here as a third running back. Like, that's a flex spot of James Conner sounds pretty good. But I want to be mindful and try to strike a balance with the team. I like Michael Pittman this year, like a lot of people, but he's just come up too far for me. I don't want him as my 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather him be a 2. I'm thinking now because Mike Williams is the guy I want. Like if we're just spelling it all out there, Mike Williams is the guy I want. Now, thinking through ADP and like you not being there, I could grab a Pittman and then get Mike Williams maybe on the back, or get James Conner, maybe get Mike Williams coming back. But I don't know. I want to roll the dice on it. So I think I'm just going to grab him. I'm comfortable with him as my wide receiver one. I'm more comfortable with him than Pittman, I think, just given the excitement around the overall offense and the quarterback and the team. Matt Ryan's good, but he's not Justin Herbert anymore. So we're going to lock in Mike Williams. We'll see what gets back to me. Interesting. James Conner goes, Terry McLaurin, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Justin Herbert, Jalen Waddle. So Pittman is still there.
How about that?
That is interesting. I would have considered Breece Hall or Etienne here as like, I'll take an upside shot at running back. Now I'm staring down Pittman, Kyle Pitts, maybe even jumping for Sutton. I like Sutton a lot this year. Do I like him more than Michael Pittman? Maybe, but he's more of a gamble because it might not be, it might be Jerry Jeudy's the guy and Cortland Sutton's good, but not like a wide receiver one or top two. So I think I will, I just talked up Pittman. I like him better as my 2 in the 4th round than I do my 1 in the 3rd. So I'll lock him in there. He fell to me. I would take that in in our draft. So I'll take it here. Deontay Johnson goes and Kyle Pitts goes. So that you avoid that temptation there.
Yeah, that was very tempting. He was one of the 3 guys I was highly considering. But him off the board, Michael Pittman, he took that temptation away as well. So it narrows it down to someone you also mentioned there with Cortland Sutton. David Montgomery's interesting, but I have 2 running backs already. I think the upside of Cortland Sutton is more important to the makeup of my team right now than kind of the safety of David Montgomery as a 3rd running back. Definitely would be really happy to have him as a 3rd back, but don't think I can pass up Cortland Sutton here. I think he's one of the last few guys here that really has a chance to be a wide receiver 1. I think you're probably looking maybe as a wide receiver 2, but I think we've seen in the past, Russell Wilson almost always has one wide receiver 1. Now, who knows if that's Jeudy, Sutton, or maybe it's a combination, and this year he has 2 wide receiver 2s and not a 1, but happy to get him here because I think he's going to have boom weeks playing there with Russell Wilson and a pretty good offense. And as I know I mentioned earlier with Zeke and CeeDee Lamb, this is one that I think I'd be a little more okay with Javonte Williams and Cortland Sutton, given that I've already got 2 running backs and Justin Jefferson at the receiver position. Here, I'm looking at got 2 solid running backs in Jefferson. So Sutton's going to be the pick here for me, and then gives me some flexibility here in the 5th round to go best available there. Probably not going to be looking tight end, with those top guys off the board. We'll see. Maybe if Kittle or Waller are there, it could be tempting, but in all likelihood, going to be looking back again at that wide receiver or running back position. So we're going to lock in Cortland Sutton here. After Sutton goes Antonio Gibson, Gabriel Davis, Pat Mahomes, so our 2nd quarterback off the board, David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins. At the end of the 4th, beginning of the 5th, we have Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson, DK Metcalf, Jerry Jeudy, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Real quick here, Will, just to jump in as a quick 30-second thing. I think everyone's starting to chip away at my dislike for Allen Robinson, and I'm starting to come around a little bit.
Around on him.
It's hard to listen to so many positive takes and read so many good things and keep the same stance over the whole offseason. I think I'm coming around.
It's the best quarterback he's had, I think.
Yeah.
If you look at it, just by far. So definitely is in consideration. I think there at the end of the 4th, early 5th, I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, agreed.
So still a lot of quarterbacks available. We have Lamar Jackson, kind of one of the top guys available. So I wouldn't mind, waiting a little bit more, but he's an interesting option there. If we're looking at tight end, we still have both of those top 2 guys in Kittle and Waller. And then if we're looking at running back, I've got Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Wide receiver, we have Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Darnell Mooney, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, Chris Godwin. So a lot of interesting options still available here. Don't love Elijah Mitchell. I know, he should be the one, should be a pretty good offense, but I don't know. I've just been lukewarm on him. So I feel like I'm going to look to the receiver position here. Got Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney. Michael Thomas is someone I've been warming on a little bit. And I know that there's some news just recently here that he's dealing with, quote unquote, a little bit of a hamstring injury.
Red
So
flag.
don't love to see that, right?
He's dead to me. Not
Yeah.
happening.
So hopefully we see some good news about that prior to the draft. But yeah, I mean, if this news came out, if no news comes out and it's just still there, yeah, it's tough to be able to bank on him. Hollywood Brown would be someone I'd love to get here, but I think he's also dealing with a hamstring injury. And let's see, it says he's 100% and healthy, but not playing in the preseason game. So notes seem to be, better on him, and I just think is due to get off to a really hot start, and you love to see that with players. So I think it comes down to Hollywood Brown or like a Darnell Mooney here for me. And I'm going to go with kind of more the upside guy with Hollywood Brown. I just think, him, Kyler, just really good offense, get him in the flex, and it just gives me still a little more flexibility with that wide receiver position. Sutton gets off to a slower start. You have another guy that you can plug in there, but happy with the two running backs that I have. So we'll be locking in here Mr. Hollywood Brown. And after Hollywood Brown goes Chris Godwin and Josh Jacobs to you.
Wow, that was a bit of a jump on ADP for Godwin.
Yeah.
That's a shame, but
you're hoping to get him.
I was actually thinking I would get him in the 6th.
Yeah.
But it's not to be. So this is pretty easy for me. I do still like Elijah Mitchell in this tier kind of area that we're in. But he's fallen down because of the injury concerns and, his pass injury concerns and what Shanahan will do in that offense if he's not healthy. So I want another running back, and that's A.J. Dillon. That is somewhat of a strategy that's coming into my mind is I really like Aaron Jones, and, him being in the top of the second would be hard to pass up. But if I could grab somebody else like a Swift, and then instead of Aaron Jones, getting A.J. Dillon, that sounds better than getting Aaron Jones and getting someone else, Miles Sanders here. Like A.J. Dillon's just like the top guy to me. And same's kind of for Stephon Diggs anymore in my mind. Like I could draft him earlier. I could get Gabe Davis a couple rounds later.
Yeah.
And have, I think, another high output dude. That's a lot more of a gamble. But A.J. Dillon to me is proven he's going to get a lot of work. So having him as my third running back, I think makes a lot of sense. So we'll lock him in there first and see what gets back to me. Interesting run here. So Bateman went, and then Kittle and Waller back to back to end the 5th. Kyler starts the 6th, and then Elijah Mitchell and Darnell Mooney, which is a shame. I did want to go back to back here, or not back to back. I wanted to go running back, wide receiver, keep that balance on my team. Darnell Mooney would have been that guy, but with him gone, Godwin's gone, Michael Thomas, who I just said I'm not interested in. Amari Cooper, not interested in. Juju, it's funny because I just said last week I was rising on Juju. I'm right back down. With the talk of that being like a long-term degenerative injury that have you heard that?
No,
that rumor?
Actually, I did hear someone talking about is it something that like the rest of the NFL knows, but it's not like widespread for the media. Like that's why he went unsigned for a while. So I guess there's some possibilities out there.
I don't know how likely it is, but that scares me. You could tell I've just been burned by these kind of situations in the past where I'm just like, nope. Any injury that you've had in preseason or rumor of such just turns me off. So, I think I am going to pivot a little bit here. I'm going to draft another running back. I'm going to draft Chase Edmonds here. My first kind of bench player. We can't start for running backs. So I'll have to fill in a flex spot coming back around, but you can never have too many. You can always trade one if need be, but Chase Edmonds, I'm rising on as well in Miami. And I think adding another running back team, even though I'm off balance at that wide receiver running back spot, I'd be okay with it. So we're going to lock him in. We'll see who gets back to me. I might be losing out on my Dalton Schultz at this point, but we'll see. Lamar Jackson goes. You had mentioned him in the last round, and then Michael Thomas, somebody else you mentioned here.
Yeah, so at this point, Jalen Hurts is really appealing here in the sixth round. Would love to get some RB depth, but just the guys here, you're looking at Damian Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders. I like them, but you're probably looking at Penny, Kareem Hunt a little bit later, Ramondre Stevenson. So still some decent options in the next round. Jalen Hurts, I think, is a positional advantage there. Now, if I'm looking at the quarterback position, we've still got Russell Wilson and Dak a little bit lower as well. So it is hard to take a quarterback early, especially because they usually don't. And we've got just four of the five teams behind me that don't have one. So and I would imagine Jalen Hurts goes, but I think I could probably wait a bit. What do we have? A few quarterbacks off the board here. Yeah, only two on the back end there. So I think I'll wait at least around here to see what the landscape looks like with four of the six teams behind me already having a quarterback, and look to So we're looking at either Dalton Schultz, T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, or going with like a running back or receiver here. Receiver Elijah Moore is interesting. I know we talked to him a lot, and he's someone that it's tough because the quarterback situation stinks for him. But with the injury, but he just no matter who's out there, he looks like he's the real deal every time he's going out, even in preseason. All the practice reports deem that he's pretty uncoverable. So he's definitely someone that's interesting. Looking at the running back position, man, I don't know what to do with this New England backfield. You have Damian Harris, you have Ramondre Stevenson. You have a read on either of those? What are you? Are they both off your board? Are you looking for one over the other?
Damian Harris is pretty much off. I mean, he falls in the category if he falls far enough. I would draft him. Ramondre, I'm interested in, but I'm not really excited about either because it really could just be a vicious timeshare between the two.
Yeah,
At this point, given the way things are trending. But Ramondre would be the guy I would draft if I had to draft one of the two.
yeah. So it's tough. I think for me, I probably am just going to lean with a running back that I think is going to be the lead back based on what we've seen from most of training camp, and that's Miles Sanders. He's had a little bit of a hamstring injury, but they say he's not serious. He's doing better, and at this point, we still got a few weeks ahead. So if it's still lingering come next week, maybe a different story. But at this stage, I would imagine he's going to be ready for the regular season. And here in the sixth round, I think this is kind of where you're taking him as your third running back. So I think it makes sense. We'll grab Miles Sanders here. After I take Miles Sanders, we have Amari Cooper go, T.J. Hawkinson, Adam Thielen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Dalton Schultz, Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the seventh round, Elijah Moore, Drake London, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Joe Burrow. So we still have Damian Harris on the board here, which is interesting. Still haven't seen him sitting there. It's one of the top guys. Rashad Penny, Kareem Hunt, a lot of running backs here at the top, and definitely hard to pass them up. Dallas Goedert is an interesting one as well. Looking behind myself, just you and Team 8 don't have tight ends. And we've still got Goddard and Ertz, but it is a bit of a drop off from there. So that's interesting. Quarterback, we still got Brady, Russ, Dak Prescott, as well as Lance and Stafford. So I think I've got a round I can wait on that position, especially having three running backs and three receivers here already. So pretty happy about that. So I think the move is probably going with a tight end in Dallas Goedert. Now, as I said, don't really love doubling up on guys, but I think Goddard is, has a really good shot to be a top 5 tight end. He's looked incredible at training camp, and unfortunately, not going to be able to get that stack that I was looking at with Jalen Hurts in the last round. But there's still quarterbacks available for the next round, and if I don't like the guys there, could look back to the other running back or tight end position, or running back or receiver position. But Goddard, I think, is kind of the end of a tier break. Ertz is still good as well, but given the landscape there, I think this is a good time to lock in that tight end and grab Dallas Goedert. So take Goddard here. After him, Brandon Ayuk and Hunter Renfrow.
Okay, so that removing Ayuk, it removes a little bit of temptation. I do like seeing Kareem Hunt here, but I don't need I don't need running backs anymore. I need to
Hmm.
pivot away. With Dalton Schultz gone, I'm either employing the draft Zach Ertz and figure it out later, draft Zach Ertz and a young player, or just skipping to Cole Kmet or Njoku probably.
Does the
And
fact that the three teams behind you already have tight ends
yes, that plays into it.
lead
I
you to
mean,
be not grabbing them right away at least?
yeah, so there's one, two, three teams, including me, that don't have one. So I think I'm pretty confident in just punting for now. Um, I'm not going to punt it as long as I think I normally would in a mock draft because I don't think realistically, like I think there's enough hype around Cole Kmet that he's not going to wait that long in a real draft. But I'm going to punt another round just because the lack of teams needing a tight end. Um, I am staring down Devonta Smith and Lazard as the guys that I want, and Lazard's going to be the one that I really want both of them. I know Devonta's not going to get back to me. The team 10 doesn't need a wide receiver, but team 12 does, and he's going to draft Devonta Smith if team 11 doesn't. Um, but I like Lazard because Mike Williams has got injury history. He's got boom bust history. Michael Pittman doesn't have a lot of history at all. So I think Alan Lazard could be like a stabilizer. I draft him all the time. I could come up with 1,000 excuses to draft Lazard. But he seems like a safer guy to pair with what I consider too riskier. Not risky, but on the riskier side. So we're going to lock him in and see if Devonta gets back to me here. Damian Harris, Devonta Smith. So no, he doesn't. I called that. In fact, a lot of wide receivers went. I also figured that was coming. Devonta Smith, Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, and then Trey Lance. So that hurts. That hurts bad because Trey Lance is the guy that I'm wanting. So it does. So how many quarterbacks do we have here? So team 1's got one. Team 2 doesn't. Team 3 does. Team 4 doesn't. Team 5 does. Team you do not.
It's only like 4 or 5 left.
So there's 4. I'm looking at, I'm comfortable with Brady. I'm comfortable with Russ. I'm comfortable with Dak. And then it's kind of like blah. So will 4 of them go? Maybe. It's just shame. I've been drafting Kadarius Toney a lot, and I would like to draft him here. But I think I'm going to go ahead and strike at quarterback and grab Russell Wilson before you can, because I don't think he would get back to me. That's a shame. I really, man, I hate seeing Trey Lance's ADP drop or
Increasing
jumping up. Yeah. He's much more fun in the 10th, but we're going to lock in Russ here. Protect him from you. You have to tell me if that's the right move or not. Cordarrelle Patterson goes and then Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I think it's solid. I mean, Tom Brady and Dak are there as well, but Russ would have been the target, I think. So I think that was a nice snipe job by you, good sir. Looking at the receiver pool, we've got DeAndre Hopkins, Kadarius Toney, Chris Olave, Chase Claypool, Garrett Wilson. Looking at the running back room here, we've got Rashad Penny, Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard. I think it's a bit of a drop off after that. So I think running back is probably where I'm looking and debating between Ramondre Stevenson and Kareem Hunt. I really wish we got more clarity on whether Hunt, is going to be traded or not, because I don't love the offense, but I could see him having a lot of passing down work, especially if the team is losing. Or if he gets moved, he could be the guy somewhere. Whereas, Ramondre Stevenson, apparently everything's looking really good for him in training camp. But once again, that's another timeshare as well. Probably a little bit better of a timeshare. So I probably lean toward him until we get clarity on Kareem Hunt. If Kareem Hunt's still on the Browns come next Saturday when we're drafting, I probably would lean on the Stevenson side over him. So getting a 4th running back here in Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is the move. And then we'll see what happens at quarterback. Brady, Dak, and Stafford are also there. So probably one of them here in the next round or maybe the next turn, depending on what the teams do, since everyone there behind me has one. Remind me, Steve, does it tend to draft 2 quarterbacks here in...
it does not, no.
Not, okay. So it gives us a little more realisticness. Maybe one team will, in a real draft, 1 or 2, but for the most part...
3.
On average.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
But I do wonder how early that is, too. Like, most of them probably take them a little bit later. I think we have one team that usually gets it a little earlier, but I could see most of them, later here in the
Yeah.
few rounds later,
Yeah, I think
taking that
so.
second one. So we'll see how that goes, but we're going to go ahead and grab Ramondre Stevenson here. After Stevenson goes Kareem Hunt, Tom Brady, Chris Olave, Dak Prescott, Kadarius Toney, Devin Singletary, Rashad Penny, Tony Pollard, Melvin Gordon, and DeAndre Hopkins. So both of those quarterbacks go off the board. A little bit of a bummer there. But like I mentioned, we still have Matt Stafford. Aaron Rodgers is still there, who, this late in the draft wouldn't mind taking a shot on Rodgers. So I probably am going to wait one more round here, test it out, see if any of these teams want to double down on a quarterback. Maybe Steve wants to go quarterback here with his next 2 picks just to spite me.
Not happening.
I don't know if you do
Not
that
with
in a
Trey
real
Lance gone.
draft. But yeah, I don't really love a ton of these receivers, so I think I may go running back again here. Especially going a couple receivers there earlier, waiting a bit to get my second and third and fourth running back. Dameon Pierce still here is something that I'm interested in. Another upside guy, and just loading up that position. So gonna lock in Dameon Pierce. Everything's we've seen from him looks really good here in training camp. So after Pierce, Kenneth Walker, another rookie, and Sky Moore.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at my data. I don't have 2021, but as of 2020, it was usually 4 teams that drafted 2 QBs.
Okay.
But there's some inconsistencies. Like there's some teams that will draft 1 or 2 depending on the year. So it
Gotcha.
tends to be 4, but could drop down to 3, which is quite a change because when we started this league, it was 8.
Yeah, it was a lot. People have evolved, that's for
Yes,
sure.
they have learned, thankfully. But anyway, back on the clock here for me. Running backs: James Cook, Darrell Henderson, Michael Carter, James Robinson, Naeem Hines. Wide receivers: Chase Claypool, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Boyd, Russell Gage, Kobe Myers, Valdez Scaling, Devontae Parker. I don't like a lot of that. So what I think I will do here, I'm going to go real heavy running back. You had said it in the last episode. I'm rising on Darrell Henderson as well. It looks more and more like that backfield's going to be split 50-50, which I don't think is good news for Akers because he's such a talent. It should not be a 50-50.
Solid pick. I just starred him as well, so just know that it was a good pick because I had him on my board.
Sucker. So he is drafted. We'll add him to the team there. I kicked off a run. Wow. James Robinson, Naeem Hines, James Cook, Michael Carter, Tyler Algier, and Alexander Mattson go. So back on the clock, I think I'm gonna jump ADP here, and I'm gonna grab Devontae Parker. I think we got again Claypool, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Boyd, Russell Gage, Kobe Myers, MVS. Landry, Pickens, Galladay, Rondell Moore. Like to me, Parker's the one that has the most upside out of that group. Maybe MVS, given that offense, but he's a who am I? I got Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, and Alan Lazard. Oh man, that's a tough one. Devontae Parker, I think could be the one for that team, but I don't know how valuable that's going to be. MVS, less likely, but high powered team. Wow, we're running out of time. I got a big decision. Devontae Parker it is. We're locking him in. On that note, we do need to move quicker here, Will. A fair bit quicker. MVS goes right after me, and then George Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens is someone I've been liking to take a later shot on, but yeah, here in the 10th, his ADP is really going up, huh?
Yeah, for real. You aren't kidding.
Yeah. Not a ton that, that makes me jump at wide receiver or running back, so I don't think I'll mess around here anymore. We're just going to lock in Stafford, get that quarterback out of the way. Happy to get him here in the 10th. Don't think it's that huge of a drop-off from Dak and Brady. Obviously, those guys could have huge seasons, and Stafford's been more back-end QB1, but we've got better weapons, so happy to see that. After him, Garrett Wilson, Isaiah Spiller, Chase Claypool, Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, Zach Ertz, Russell Gage, and Pat Freiermuth. So now just looking at running back and receivers, kind of bolstering that position. I haven't gotten a receiver in a little while here, so it's probably the one I'm looking at. Devontae Parker would have been nice. He was someone I was thinking about, but he goes off the board. So we're looking at Jacoby Myers, Jarvis Landry, Kenny Galladay, Rondell Moore, DJ Chark, Julio. Someone that I've been rising a little bit on from Camp News is rookie Jahan Dotson from Washington. He's, been someone that people haven't been high on just because of the Washington situation, but he has been said to be, exactly as advertised in camp. Looks great. Looks as a clear-cut second wide receiver option there. And, I'm not thrilled about the offense as a whole, but as opposed to spending a late third-round pick on Terry McLaurin, I would rather get the second option there that I think is still going to be viable here in the 11th round. Now, obviously, did go heavy wide receiver early, so kind of discounted it late here. So do need to get some additional options at the position. But locking in Jahan Dotson here is my fourth receiver. After him, Kenny Gainwell and Hunter Henry.
Yeah, so I now stand alone as the only team without a tight end.
So you're going to wait forever?
I'm not going to wait forever. I won't use it for this pick because I'll just play the turn, and then I'll draft Cole Kmet with my 12th pick. Sitting in the 11th, I'm needing to load up on some wide receivers here. Rondale Moore is interesting, given he could start off on a hot start with Hopkins out. Like you said, they say Hollywood's 100%, but hammy issues, they can linger. Could take a shot on Kenny Golladay, maybe putting it back together. DJ Chark has been interesting. Julio, we talked about last week as someone we're rising on. I think I would probably roll the dice on DJ Chark, though. I think I believe in him more than I do Rondale Moore. I think Rondale's just going to end up being a gadget guy that doesn't really amount to anything from a fantasy standpoint, where Chark, I think, could garbage time his way to being relevant. We've seen good stuff from him in the past. So we're going to lock in Mr. Chark there. Rashad White, Jacoby Myers, Ronald Jones round out the 11th. J.D. McKissick, Sonny Michel, Darrell Williams in the 12th. I'll lock in Mr. Kmet now. Get him out of the way. Marlon Mack and Jamal Williams is up.
All right, so we're staying on the running back and receiver train here. Running backs, Brian Robinson, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Deontay Foreman, Zamir White, Boston Scott, Chuba Hubbard. So, some later options there. Given that I've got Jonathan Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders, Ramondre Stevenson, and Damian Pierce already, I think I probably want to lock in a fifth receiver here and then, kind of just go best available from there. There's some later running backs that I like as well. So running a receiver, we're looking at Travis Landry, Kenny Golladay, Rondale Moore, Julio, Corey Davis, Nico Collins. Mecole Hardman is an interesting late round option here for me. KJ Osborne, another one. Obviously, with Justin Jefferson wouldn't make sense, but he's someone that I do like usually here in the late rounds. And even KJ Hamler, had I not had Cortland Sutton. So just some late round call outs there. For me, I think it is taking a shot on a Kansas City receiver and Mecole Hardman. It's a lot of these guys are just kind of safer options, but maybe Nico Collins is kind of a nice upside play, but I don't really see a ton of upside in a lot of these other guys, whereas Mecole Hardman, they drafted him to be the next Tyreek Hill. Obviously, they haven't needed him to do that, and he hasn't really showed a ton of flashes here and there, but maybe this is the year he puts it together and has to be relied on more. So I'm going to take a shot here on Mecole Hardman, grab him as my fifth receiver. After him, I'm going to run of running backs here. Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards, Deontay Foreman, Zamir White, Mark Ingram to end the 12th round. Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Myles Gaskin, Kirk Cousins, and Dawson Knox. So a couple of quarterbacks going there in the 13th round as well. Looking back here at the running back and receiver position, not really in love with a lot of the receivers here. The one guy I think that could be interesting is like a rookie in Christian Watson. I know he's hurt early on in camp, but I believe he came back about a week ago. So we'll see if he gets up to speed. But I think it's, once again, that Green Bay receiver room and the Kansas City receiver room are guys that I like taking shots on late here to see if you can get the guy. So we're going to lock in Christian Watson to bolster the receiver room here for my team as well. After him, we've got Jarvis Landry and Evan Ingram.
Yeah, so taking a look, there's really not a lot in the wide receiver grouping that I'm liking. Kenyon Drake's here. I don't know if you heard. He's a cut candidate, apparently. Indeed. But I'm sitting with 5 running backs. I'm not really interested in any of them. Maybe taking a shot on Tyrius Davis-Price because he's getting some good reports, or the Kansas City dudes here, Isaiah Pacheco.
Isaiah Pacheco, I think.
Pacheco, yeah, there you go. I think I actually will take the shot on him here. I don't think he's going to be anything, but it's the 13th round. He's a running back, and he's on the Kansas City Chiefs. So, I'll throw the dart. Why not? I don't think he'd get here in a real draft. I think somebody would probably jump and grab him.
Yeah, see that name.
Exactly, yeah. Julio goes right after, which is a shame because I was going to look at him. Rondell Moore goes, another, I would have considered him late. Beckham goes, more quarterbacks. I do not recall them ever really going to quarterback, just a handful of teams, but a lot did on this one.
Yeah.
Zach Williams, Mike Gesicki, Tua. So sitting here with my last pick, Wan'Dale Robinson's interesting because he's getting a lot of praise. I'm not sure what's going to translate to for fantasy. I think I'll stick with the same team and draft Kenny Golladay with my last pick. We've seen it. It's been a while since we've seen it, but if he can establish rapport and stay healthy, maybe he puts it back together. So I'll grab him to round out my wide receiver group. Jameson Williams, Romeo Dobbs goes, and you are on the clock with your final pick.
All right. So late round running backs that I like here. Eno Benjamin is one that I've been rising on. I know we have Darrell Williams on our dynasty team here. And I believe maybe he just went, but I know he's still there. But Eno is said to be, they're right now the guy as the RB2. So we'll see if Keontae Ingram, Darrell Williams are guys that can supplant him. But it sounds like he has really turned a corner this year. So definitely a late round running back option I like. And looking at the receiver position, a guy in Jalen Tolbert is another one that I like. And given that I want to get some more depth at receiver, went with a few there in a row, I'm going to go with another receiver. Load up there, see if one or two of them pop, and if the other ones don't, can use that as options for cuts for the waiver wire. So we're going to lock in Jalen Tolbert here. After Tolbert, get back to the draft board here. We got Justin Fields, Boston Scott, Alberto, Alec Pierce, and Tyler Algier.
Not that it matters, but you check that stupid grade thing.
Yes, I got a C+.
Man, I don't like this. So I got an A-. I'm getting a lot of these high grades, and you're getting a lot of the low ones, and I'm pretty sure that means I'm doing something wrong. Woof. Anyway, grades don't matter. Don't pay attention to them. Will, you drafted first from the 6th spot. So how about you go ahead and run down your team?
Yeah, so we've got Matt Stafford at quarterback. Running back, we got Javonte Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders, Ramondre Stevenson, and Damian Pierce. At the receiver position, Justin Jefferson, Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, Jahan Dotson, Mecole Hardman, Christian Watson, Jalen Tolbert, and then at tight end, Dallas Goedert. It's okay. I think, C makes sense. I don't love the team. Once again, this is a 12-team. I think it's been a while since we've done a 12-teamer. You're doing these 10 and 8 teams and finding that you like your team a lot more, I feel like. This one, I think, satisfied, but probably could have went different on a couple positions. The Hollywood Brown pick, maybe going with one of the bigger tight ends or like an A.J. Dillon. And then, being able to go with a different receiver there instead of Miles Sanders. But overall, pretty happy with the team.
So for me, drafting out of the 9 spot, quarterback Russell Wilson, running back Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, AJ Dillon, Chase Edmonds, Darrell Henderson, Pacheco, wide receiver Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Alan Lazard, Devontae Parker, DJ Chark, Kenny Golladay, and at tight end Cole Kmet. I like it. I don't like the wide receiver depth. Like Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Alan Lazard, all good. Parker, Chark, Golladay. Like I wish I had one more decent piece of depth there, but there's no area for me to sacrifice to get that depth. Removing Darrell Henderson maybe and grabbing I don't know who. No one, because there's no wide receivers went before that. Yeah. So punting quarterback maybe around and adding Kadarius Toney, Chris Olave, Christian Kirk, something like that, maybe. But I got a feeling you would have grabbed Russ and then Brady and Dak would have went. So then I'm stuck with Cousins and Stafford and stuff. I don't like that. So you can fix wide receiver in the waivers a lot easier than you can running back. So overall, I'm happy. I like the running back depth, happy with the quarterback, happy with the starting wide receivers. Cole Kmet a bit of a gamble, but he should get volume. So I'm pretty pleased.
Solid. Last little dress rehearsal we have here for our main league. Next week we'll be doing one more 10-team league here. But yeah, only one more mock draft episode here. How about it?
Yeah, almost to the beginning of the season. So yeah, one more 10 team as a dress rehearsal for your home league again. So yeah, tune in next week for that 10 team. And until then, folks, trust your board.